It's just my
I
big
just
sister
see people that are waiting
like
outside
five
to get them started.
boys.
And he can
And my dad's like
take over when he shows up, but I just feel bad.
yeah.
Richard, Rich will be here in a second.
Chief financial officer for sanitation management. They manage
He's literally closing his card right now.
JP Morgan,
Yes.
Wells Fargo.
He's packing his
And
house.
my dad does his
Closing his
best
card.
for
Oh, okay.
he works, he actually.
I thought the parking
does his
situation
best
would be
for
better up
City.
there, it's not.
And then,
And I was, well, this is something too, I didn't know.
my
I
son,
came out,
he's
and
a-
so he parks, I parked out the street over there. So there's still no, I thought there was two.
Okay, he's here.
Parking on the driveway. I'm not complaining.
Hola, how old is he, like 30?
He plays snow.
What is he, like 30?
And
You
her
said that?
was the-
Seriously,
No,
right?
40.
45.
I'm busy.
Well, can I grab one of these?
My mom's
I was
40.
Where's our, give those 10 minutes?
My mom's 40, so.
You're not too old.
Give us a chance, she's like, turning 30. She's 40.
Somebody else, somebody else.
They've done an amazing job.
No, senior. She sent the email, I told you.
I made all the corrections, I sent them back, missed one thing. So I put down, I think it's 650, 550,000 dollars. No budget.
Oh, yeah.
You probably could lose, it's, 10,000, 15,000 in the city. For a base.
Oh, admin. That's not.
No, it's not a lot of work either.
I think so, what you
You
take
said
in the
10,000?
budget, you should be fine.
10% is 10%.
Oh, 10%.
10% is, 10,000.
Oh, 10,000. So you,
Trust
did
me.
you send that to her now?
You have to.
Send it to her.
Yeah, person that knows, you know, you can do it.
So she has it.
Free cash is good part of our base, it's got to be.
We can do it twice.
FaceTime either money coming in, saving more.
But it's one of those projects where you kind of work, you can tell people you want to, I tell them, it's so much money.
I don't see how we can.
It's a garage. It's like,
I don't see how
like,
we can.
you cannot make a thought.
So I think we have to.
Well, that's
It's a very simple thing.
that's a big garage.
It is, but there's no complexity to it.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
there's stairs, there's elevators, there's, you don't have to, I think there should be a.
You're on, there's radio.
And,
We get two people on Zoom right now.
facilities.
How there you are.
We need to get committed letters, we don't even know how we need the letters from.
You are good, perfect.
The guys are, Sawmill. So I show them the same thing. We're gonna,
big property, go free, let's. Lawrence,
yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the Budget and Finance Committee. Today is Wednesday, March 15, 2023. Well, I would like to say welcome to Councilor District E, Stephanie Infante. She's joined us today and from now on until for the next year on this committee. Voting members that are present today, to my right, Councilor District E, Stephanie Infante. Online, we have Councilor at Large, Ana Levy, and Councilor District C, Gregory del Rosario. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Act of 2022, this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee is being conducted both in person and via remote participation. A reminder that persons who would like to listen or to view this meeting while in progress might either attend in person at the location above or use any of the following access locations: Facebook, Lawrence City Council page; YouTube, Lawrence City Council page. With that said, councilors, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilors, at this time, we have no minutes to approve, and we have 2 new items on the agenda that we would like to go over. The first new item on the agenda that we have tonight is item 7723, which is the authorization to spend a grant fund of $50,000 coming from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts ERMAC grant. I believe this is for the Recreation Department. Adeline Gonzalez, the director of that department, is here with us. So Adeline, if you can take the mic, name and address for the record, please, and explain to us how you guys gonna spend this $50,000.
Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. My name is Adelie Gonzalez, 6 Hillside Avenue, Lawrence. So we're getting $50,000 that's coming from the State House due to State Representative Frank Moran that was giving us those funds. I did give you, it should be in your folders, the details how we're gonna spend the funds from travel, field trips, and new programs. I did put in one of the, there's a section that says other, there's $3,000. The reason why I put that there, and I didn't add it to the other categories, is the fact that we don't know if costs for transportation is going up. So just in case, I put $3,000 aside for transportation or field trips to be able to use it for the summer program. So that's one of the reasons why that one says others, and it doesn't have any specifics of how it's gonna be spent.
Right, on the schedule, in the budget schedule, I don't see that. On the budget schedule, we have for office supplies, $3,000, travel and buses, we have $15,000, field trips, $25,000, and professional services, $2,500, printing and flyers, $1,500, and equipments, we have $3,000 for the total amount of $50,000.
Yep.
So tell me how this $50,000, it's gonna differentiate from programs that you already have in place year to year.
So it makes things easier, actually. The past 2 years that I've been in this position as the acting director of the Recreation Department, we've had trouble getting money for transportation. Like the first year that I was here, transportation was $6,000. Last year, we ended up spending $11,000 in transportation. For what we get in my budget every year, we get $53,000, and it's just for staffing. So these are the individuals that we hire in the summer to work for our program, which means all the little things we get from fees and renting the parks across the city, that's the money that we use for transportation and everything else. So with this money, we have leeway. We can actually take the kids to field trips without having to fall back, and come to the council and ask for money. So we can actually take them to field trips. We can actually secure our transportation ahead of time instead of waiting for the last minute and paying a higher rate. For supplies, every year we have to replace the equipment that we use for the kids. So when we buy toys or equipment, by the end of the year, and the program is done, we lose half of our equipment due to wear and tear, or they've been there for so long, so we have to resupply. Flyers is to reach out to the community. So for us to pass it on all the schools around the city to promote our program, we need money for that. As well as office supplies, it's just things that I need in order to run the program. We have to buy ice every day. We have to go to a market basket and buy ice so the kids can have fresh, cold water. We also have to have first aid kits. We also have to use that money to certify all of our employees, because unless you're CPR certified, you can't be part of the program, and that's the cost that we also have to add into consideration.
Councilors, there is any questions in regard to this $50,000? I have to my right, Councilor Infante. I have a question.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Hi, Adderley.
Hey.
Or Director, sorry. First, I do want to thank Representative Frank Moran for his efforts on this. I know when the budget season, last year's budget season, it was very clear that this was a department that needed funding and needed that help. So I'm very grateful we're all very grateful for his help. My Councilor Rodriguez asked about the programs. That was one of my questions, so that's all set. But my second question is this a grant that the city would have to advocate for every year to Rep Moran in order to continue? Like, is this a one-year thing, or is it something that could be a yearly grant that the city could receive?
So for now, it's just a one-year thing, but he's hoping to make it a yearly thing. So if that happens, I'll definitely help out every year. The only difference is it's not a revolving account, so every year we get the grant, no matter what, we have to spend the $50,000.
Thank you.
Councilor, there is, Councilor Anna Levy. How many kids do you serve during the program?
So this past year, we serve 325 families, so we have an average of 180 kids to 400 kids that pass through our program through the summer. We separate our program in two parks, so we have Riverfront Park in South Lawrence, and then we have the North Common.
Kids to the program.
Can you repeat the question?
Where he bring the kids from for the program?
Where do you bring the
training
kids?
or
So for field trips last year, we did Roller Kingdom in Tingsboro. We did Water Country, Canopy Lake. We also did the zoo, the Franklin Zoo in Boston. And then since we were lacking the funds, we actually did a field day where we got a bouncy house and we did activities here at the park.
And this grant, this is the first time that you get it, or did you have it before?
This is the first time we get it.
That is the first time.
For the 50,000, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilors, there is any other questions in regard to this grant? I hear no question at this point. I entertain a motion.
I make a motion to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Okay. There is a motion on the table to send it to the full council with a recommendation. It's been properly second. Any questions in regard to this? I hear no questions, so at this point I call the question. I call the vote. All right, Councilor Levy? Yes. Councilor De Rosario? Yes. Councilor Infante?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor.
Next item on the agenda is item 7823, which is authorization to spend funds of $411,393.76. It is a Mass DOT Winter Recovery Assistance Program. It was put together by Mr. McCarthy. At this point, I would like to recruit myself from this discussion.
Yes.
And I'll pass the gavel to Councilor, the senior is Anna Levy, but I mean, you're online, so I don't know if you're gonna be able to manage the computer. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little challenging for the volume. They won't be able to hear you. Yeah, but I mean, it's gonna be quick. So I'll pass the gavel to Councilor District E to continue the conversation on this.
Hello, Mr. McCarthy.
Good evening, Councilor, and good evening, Councilors. Daniel McCarthy, my office at 12 Methuen Street. I am the Director of Planning and Development. The request before you today is a request to expend funds that are coming from Mass DOT as part of the Winter Recovery Assistance Program. The program is a $10 million set of grants from Governor Baker that was issued to the communities in the state to compensate a variety of cities for costs that were incurred as part of the last several winters. $10 million was allotted. It was divided by based on population. The city was entitled to $411,393.76 exactly.
Can you repeat that?
Yep. $411,393.76. So There's a very strict use requirement on it. The money has to be used for actual construction costs and infrastructure costs for anything related to the streets. That includes sidewalks, signage, crosswalks, street paint, anything of that nature that would have been damaged as part of the winter plowing in the winter snow conditions. We did meet with the mayor's office and the Department of Public Works to identify uses for this. The DPW director was indicated that was best used to support some of the sidewalk replacement. Chapter 90 money is used to do as much of the street work as possible. Where we've fallen short lately has been on sidewalks, so we're going to use this money to further improve some of the worst sidewalks in the city.
Councilors, do you have any questions? Councilor at Large Levy?
This is a one-time payment it's for every community in the city, in the state. And it was $10 million that Governor Baker had excess funds that he wanted to utilize to the communities for some of the harsh winters we've had over the last couple of years. Not particularly this winter, but the winters before this, that a lot of cities had suffered a lot of damage as part of the winter keeping, snow removal efforts, and that's what this money is for. It's a grant in the form of, I would call it almost a gift. It is to give to the cities. We need to spend it, and the only requirement we have for reporting is to submit those invoices to the state to get payment. It's a fairly straightforward project, and again, the only limitation is that it's used to repair streets and sidewalks and potholes or whatever the city chooses.
Councilor Levy, does that answer your question? Yes, for sidewalks, and what was your second question? So what Mr. McCarthy reported that most of this will be used for sidewalks for the most damaged sidewalks that we have in the city, because I'm assuming the minimal snow that we've had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just only sidewalks?
Right now, it'll be essentially used entirely for sidewalks. So the mayor requested that the Department of Public Works identify some of the worst sidewalks and make those repairs. I know that we've identified some of them on Essex Street near the Merrimack residential building, Lawrence Housing Authority manages. That was the only specific site, but we received Chapter 90 money in the DPW does a great job of extending that as far as possible, paving as much streets as we can. Where we do need money, which has become very expensive recently, has been the sidewalk repair. So that's why we want to commit this money to the sidewalks.
So the question is, when does the grant start?
The grant starts in 2 weeks, and it ends June 30th.
Until June 30th.
We have to spend all the money by June 30th.
They need to use all the funding by June 30th. The funding expires on June 30th of this year. Correct. Council Del Rosario, do you have any questions? You're welcome. Questions? Mr. McCarthy, I have a question. So going back to the time frame, this grant was supposed to start within the time frame of July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. It was just stated, it says that no work can be allowed without a contract with MassDOT. Do we have a contract with them?
We
set?
do, I actually have the signed contract in my folder right here, signed by the mayor.
Do you mind going over that contract a little bit?
The contract is a very simple, straight, it's just a state form contract. So this goes to the state, that shows that we're in contract with them. The rest of the grant is a straightforward reimbursement grant. We do the work, we send the invoices into the state, and they pay us.
That's my next question. I think, I don't have any further questions. Councilor Levy and Councilor Del Rosario, do you guys have any further questions? Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion. There is a motion on the table to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation, seconded by Councilor Anna Levy, and I will do the call. Councilor Levy? Councilor Del Rosario? And myself, Councilor Stephanie, also votes yes.
Well, thank you, councilors. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Councilors, as for the new business, we have no new business. We have table matters. Anything that would like to take out of the table matters at this point?
I would like to make a motion to untable item 399B-22.
Item, from the table matters, we have item 399B, 22, which is the authorization to spend grant funds, Home American Rescue Plan, Home ARPA, grant for $3,074,052. Councilors, we need a second for these. Can you hear a second? Been properly second, I call the question. Councilor Levy? Councilor De Rosario? Councilor Infante?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So we open the discussion in regard to item 399-22. We have with us Awilda Pimentel. Welcome back, Awilda. And
Thank you.
and please tell us more about this specific item.
Good evening, councilors. Thank you for having us again. Basically, we're here to ask to expand the Home ARP plan. We now have our plan together so that we can submit with your favorable recommendation to the full city council.
I have a few questions, Awilda.
Yes.
So we authorized the expenditure of $100,000 for the report. As of what were the recommendation to spend this $3.74 million for $3.74 million? No, 74,000. So essentially, the report came back. So tell me about the deadlines. When are the deadlines for this?
Thank you. Basically, the Home ARP plan is the Home American Rescue Plan. We were allocated these funds over 2 years ago. And the deadline to submit the plan is March 31st. which is in a couple of weeks. And again, I want to thank you all for allowing us to submit this plan and for the funding that you guys allowed us to have for the consultants, which we will reimburse back to the city of Lawrence.
So we have until, to submit the plan, to be able to spend the money, we have 15 more days.
Correct.
When did you guys get the report?
When? We just got the report, actually finalized. We've been working on it from day one, and basically we just finalized everything because HUD does require certain things. So basically first, we had to do a public hearing. First, we had to publish it on the newspapers. We then had to do several consultations, which is included in the plan, with a lot of the partners in the community first, before we can even draft the plan. And we did that, and then we also had to perform the public hearing, which we just did at the center.
Right. So this is the first time I hear that we need to do, for us to be able to do a report, we need to do a public hearing. So tell me more about that, because this is new to me.
Yeah, we already completed that, but it's, for the Home Art Plan, we had to complete a public hearing. That's a HUD requirement, which we did.
Is the public hearing been, because I mean, I thought the public hearing was supposed to be done here at the city council, but I mean, I might be wrong.
Well, basically, we have to present the plan in a public forum, and that's a HUD requirement, separate from the city council, what we're gonna do at the city council. And we did send an invite and the flyers and everything to all city employees, all the city councilors, we did send that out. But we just had to present it basically to the city in public. As a HUD requirement, everyone has to do that.
Okay. And this is only for this type of funds? Because I don't think I hear anything like that before.
That's correct. This is the first time ever, in my generation anyways, that this happens. And the reason why this requirement was placed was because of the pandemic. So that is a requirement just for the Home Art funds.
Okay, well, good to know. And when did you guys finalize the report?
When did we finalize it? I would say it was all finalized yesterday.
The reason that I'm asking is because we get it 3 hours ago. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to be able to see it for the discussion today. And to me, it was going to be very important for me to ask the questions at the level that it was supposed to be done, not necessarily at the full council, but here, so we can recommend the full council what were the findings of the report at this level. But since it was sent 3 hours ago, I wasn't able to.
Well, I will
to
say
even
this,
got it.
I sent it directly to the Madam Clerk, but it was at the hearing. We did publish, did you attend the hearing?
No, I was not.
Okay, but it was published for everyone to see and to give their opinions.
No, because I mean, whatever you guys do at that level doesn't mean that we get it. Officially, this committee is supposed to be able to grant an opinion on the matter. We need to get it here. So we didn't get it. We get it 3 hours ago. So I'm not able I wasn't able to read it. And if I get it at the public forum, hey, that's not something that, as an individual, as a city resident, I might be able to get it there. But as a councilor, I get it 3 hours ago, so I wasn't able to read it, and I'm not going to be able to read it right now to ask specific questions to be able to provide my opinion to the full council. So that's why I was questioning in regard to as of when you guys finalize it. So if you guys finalized it yesterday, but you guys presented to the public
Correct, and we did
last
upload
week,
the draft.
it was kind of like, not finalize it.
We did upload the draft, though, to the city's website as well. And that happened over a week ago. So the final draft is now, but we had created the draft for anyone to look at, which was uploaded.
We're gonna ask the councilors if they have any questions, and Councilor Infante do have questions, so Councilor Infante.
Thank you. First, a comment. Just to make the process easier, I know things are hectic. When you do have a draft, it's good to send it to the council. Even if we don't have the most updated, we'll have something to work off of. So that will be helpful for us in the future. And to a clarification question, you mentioned something about paying the consultant and reimbursing the city. Does that money was that originally part of this money? Is that why you're mentioning that we will reimburse the city? Where did that money come from?
It comes from these funds,
Okay.
directly from the Home ARP funds.
Any questions, councilors, in regard to this matter? Councilor De Rosario? Give me 1 second, let me help you out a little bit.
Won't be able to see me, but that's okay.
Go ahead.
I mean, going through this, we will table this matter because they were there. This is a grant. It's not like free cash that's coming from our general funds. Probably money is already allocated and we're just waiting to spend the fund. I think we should just send this to the full council. And if we have any discussion, just get it there because they have a timeline for the 30th of this month, 15 more days. This is my opinion. Again, they've been there probably 2 or 3 times with the same item. And holding it here in this committee, it's getting them to the timeline that at the end of the day, if we don't make a decision on the full council, they're gonna lose that money, or the city is gonna lose that money. So this is my opinion. I'm not asking anybody to do anything, but I think we should consider that and just send it to the full council and discuss anything that we need to discuss at the full council with this grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rosario. Thank you for your opinion. My opinion was the previous one as well. So essentially, we have different set of opinion, but I think that just like you think, we should be sending it to the full council. I'm not saying that we're gonna hold it. I'm saying we get the report 3 hours ago. So, and that's something that, to me, personally, I'm not able to read to do my questioning at the level that I was supposed to do the questioning. So, 2 set of opinion. At the end of the day, it's a matter of putting a motion, seconded, and taking a vote. This is all about that. Councilor Levy, you have a question? Let me help you out with the mic. Give me one. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
So I just went to one of the meetings. I hear, whatever that they said regarding this grant. And so that's the attention that so many people were putting in question that they already asked. That was last week, I think, so that Thursday or the last week or Friday, I can't remember right now. And
Can you guys hear?
I know that we were waiting for this report for a long time, and but I also understand, I was reading this afternoon, a little bit after whatever that it was sent to, I was not able to complete it, the complete report, but there was so many things right in there. And I think that due to the fact that this is how we can lose the money, we should send it to the full council as a committee report, and we can have the final discussion over there regarding the question or whatever that we have or from any other council over there. So that's my motion. I see Council President, I don't know if he want to say something regarding this item. But this is my motion to send it to the full council with, as a committee report.
All right, let's. So at this point, I would like to expand the opportunity to Council President to say whatever he needs to say, or their opinion or questioning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We have a lot to digest in this little piece of paper here, and I think your arguments are right on mark. We got to have more information before we make
I agree with all that stuff. Obviously, we all have to bring it up. I think no one disagrees with that. That's not the reason why I'm standing here. There's two things that I really want to ask, and I'm not sure we're going to get an answer this evening, but through you, I want the administration to know how I feel about this. So two things. Regarding these monies, it is focused, it appears to be, on our homeless population. And I know that we have Kelly Frazier, who's in the audience this evening, and she has done a very good job with respect to diminishing and really trying to bring those numbers that were high over the 100 mark, I think 120 or 130 at one point, and now we're down to below 50. I think, if memory serves me correctly, I think 30-ish is probably where that number is right now, so that is excellent. I guess the question regarding the monies that we're going to be spending, is that money going to be counterproductive? In other words, if Lawrence is going to be the beacon with this stellar homeless population doing all the great things, is this going to attract, because we're doing such a great job? And is that what we want to do? And that's a question that is a policy question, and I'm just curious at some point to see what the administration feels about those optics. That's question one, that kind of idea. Question number two is on page 38. I just thumbed through it real quick. It talked about housing production. And as you know, no surprise to anybody who's been listening to me for 18 years, housing production in our city is of concern. Is this going to provide more housing production? And if so, where and when? And what about the ancillary costs with respect to it? Education, public safety, congestion, vehicles, all the other stuff that surrounds more people in our very, very, very concise and contracted city. So I'm willing to listen through, Mr. Chairman, if there's any kind of reaction from the administration. I'd be happy to listen to what that is. And then I'm looking forward to a robust discussion at the full council meeting next Tuesday. Thank you.
At this point, we're going to expand the opportunity to the administration to see if they have an answer on any of those two questions.
I will say that I want to thank the council president. I'm sorry. Okay. I do want to thank the council president for acknowledging what the team has done. I do have that expectation for everyone in Community Development Department to do the best they can for what we're here for and what the residents and the taxpayers are paying us. That is why we came here for. I will say that we are allowed to do acquisition, development, and rehabilitation of housing units, and it is not just new construction or developing something new. We do have that option. To answer the fact of what are other cities or states looking at us, I will say this. This is a national grant. Every state received an allocation, every city. It's not just the city of Lawrence. It wasn't just us.
No, but I mean, it was more in regard to whether or not, as a city, we decide to spend it on some way if other, perhaps, homeless population will see us, if they see us attractive to come over, meaning that we probably increase our number in terms of the homeless population. That's basically what was the questioning.
Unfortunately,
because every city have their way of spending the money.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're one of the only cities that haven't submitted a HOMAR plan. We're actually, all other cities have submitted it. Malden already got their funding a year and a half ago. Other cities have received it as well. We're the only city that hasn't, and I made sure that it was a priority when I came on board back in the summer in July. Within my first 30 days in this administration, as you, I don't know if you recall, but we did the homelessness summit where HUD came as well. So we are one of the only cities that haven't submitted the HOMAR plan, and it's unfortunate because we do have a housing crisis. And the reason why these funds is a grant, not a loan. We're not getting it from the city. It is a grant to the city, is because the United States government realizes the crisis that we're having here in the city of Lawrence, as well as in other cities. So this is really what these funds are, the purpose and the reason for them to come into the city. And I wish they would have came in earlier, but we're going to do everything we can to help the people. I do also have a picture here that I can show you, Consul. This was just a month ago here in our city of Lawrence. I've been a resident of the city of Lawrence since 1982, and a proud Laurentian, I will say. But it is unfortunate that we do have this in the city of Lawrence. We are doing everything we can to house a lot of these residents because we do have the funding to help these people. And it is not just the chronic homeless. That is a big mistake and misunderstanding. People think it's just the chronic homeless that are under a bridge or on the street. And actually, those been reduced massively since we've been working on that. That has been reduced drastically. What we're addressing here as well is the 143 families that are in the Lawrence Public Schools. They're already in the school system. They're couch surfing. This grant is gonna help those families. Those families have been sleeping on a couch all these years. As far as I'm concerned and the knowledge I have, that I've spoken to the families and the superintendent and Arlen Santiago and the Lawrence Public Schools, they've been doing this for 2 years. They've been couch surfing. So it's not only for the people in the street, which those numbers have been reduced. It's also for the people that are facing eviction who already have a home or have an apartment, but they need rental assistance to prevent themselves from becoming homeless.
So let me just quick ask you, can you explain the plan?
Yes.
And that way we have better information, because we start the conversation by saying, okay, I'm not able to ask questions in regard to the program, in regard to the plan, and then there was questioning about the process, as of what we should do to be able to ask the questions. And then 2 questions arrived from Council President, which was one around the homeless, because he was able to read well, you were able to read it. So he was able to read the report, and but the discussion has been around the process. So please explain to us the plan.
So basically, what we want to do is we want to allocate $447,944 for supportive services. So to help these families, like I said, it's not just for people on the street or living in encampments, which we have reduced the encampments in the city of Lawrence, but it's also to help those people either with job training, child care. I mean, there's a lot of supportive services. So wraparound case management. And these are for the families that are already in the Lawrence Public School systems, living in a family's house.
That's 400 and something thousand, right?
Correct. That's one allocation.
Keep on going that way.
Yeah. Acquisition and development of non-congregate shelters, $250,000. Then $2 million for development of affordable rental housing. Now that also qualifies for rehabilitation. So we can actually rehabilitate already a home. That we can place people that are either homeless or at the verge of being homeless or being evicted.
Well, tell me about that. 2 million that is going to be allocated for home renovation. So somebody have a home, and they want to renovate it. They come to the city, and you guys approve them to do renovations.
No.
So how that work?
No, that's a little bit different. More for acquisition and rehabilitation of creating a home or a building to make that then into housing. Or if there's already a housing building where they live at and is dilapidated, we can then use these funds to really rehabilitate that and provide the housing, that it's already there for housing. We're not going to create new housing.
So essentially, it's a building that has been abandoned for years, and there is funds available for those owners, perhaps, or developers that are going to create housing that are related to helping people in need of housing, not homeless necessarily.
Correct. Not chronic homeless, because there's
Exactly.
different definitions
Exactly.
of homelessness. So it can be for people that are homeless, at risk of being homeless, people that are fleeing domestic violence or human trafficking, which has been, we've seen a lot of cases, and believe it or not, here in the city of Lawrence. Also for veterans and family of veterans.
Right. So we have $2.5 million. We still have 800,000, so let's keep on
Yes, so
going
then
that way.
administration and planning will be $476,000, and that would be the total home ARP allocation. So it's mostly for acquisition, rehabilitation, and support services to support these families.
So, okay, 400,000 for.
That's on page 36, if you want to see it.
I
Sure,
wanted to take my time to be able to read it or understanding, but I would like the public that is actually looking at us be able to get a sense of how this 3.74 is going to be spent.
sure.
All right. So we have housing production, we have support for homeless, and we also have 400 and something thousand that is going to be related to the 125 families, right, around that are in the school system that are gonna be helping out with that money. All right, councilors, there's any questions in regard to this? Councilor Rosario have a question. Do you want me to? Yes. Councilor Rosario, let me help you out a little bit. I'm actually putting the mic on the computer so they be able to hear.
And I do apologize, I'm going through a very bad cold, and that's why I'm not there.
Hold on,
I
hold
wish I
on.
was-
Go ahead.
And I want to apologize, I wish I was there. I'm going through a bad cold, I didn't want to give it to none of you. Listening to Mrs. Pimentel talking, it's a very ambitious program, which is pretty cool. Going back to attracting homeless, a few years ago, the crisis went up when we approved license to panhandling, and nobody says anything. We approved panhandling license, which I don't know if that works for the city, but as soon as we approved the panhandling license, it seems like homeless came from everywhere to ask for money in Lawrence. Again, I think we should, there's a motion, I don't know, we forgot that there is a motion. My colleague, Anna Levy, has a motion on the table, and I think we should go back into that motion.
All right, this was in regard to the panhandling license, and then that was in regard to Councilor Levy have a motion. Councilor Levy, do you have a motion? Yes, you have a motion? Okay, there is a motion on the table to send it to the full council as a committee report. Can you hear a second?
Second.
All right. There is a motion on the table, properly second discussion.
Discussion.
Councilor Infante.
Thank you, Councilor Rodriguez. Before I say anything, I do want to say, when I was speaking earlier, Ms. Pimentel, the same attention that you gave my colleagues, I expect that same respect and attention when I'm speaking moving forward. Secondly, what I'm going to say, a comment to what Council President LaPlante said regarding the homeless situation, the counterproductive of the potential counterproductive of this grant. Luckily, because of my day job, I do work at a local health center. I do sit on a task force from an outside community, and they're looking at Lawrence as in a model, as an example. So communities are looking at us, and they are respecting our work. I'm hoping that the change in other communities putting in more efforts and not Lawrence having the burden will change. Obviously, that won't happen overnight, but the discussions are finally occurring, and they feel they know that they should step in. So I'm feeling very positive about that. And thirdly, from where I am sitting, did not see our homeless coordinator in the room, so I do want to say thank you to Ms. Frazier for the work that she does with the homeless. I'm very appreciative, as she knows, of her work.
Ms. Frazier, can you introduce yourself, name and address for the record, and tell us something about the hard work you do?
Good evening, Kelly Frazier, Homelessness Initiative Coordinator for the City of Lawrence, 12 Methuen Street, Lawrence, Mass. I just want to say thank you guys for, okay. I just want to say thank you, and again, sorry for the appearance. I worked at the warming shelter last night with our homeless, so I just woke up to come here. I just want to say thank you for giving the opportunity to show you guys what we can do. When Ms. Pimentel had came on, we had discussed what can we do to make it better. So here we are today. Our numbers have gone down. The correct number when I started here was 263 homeless people living on the streets. The numbers that we have today, coming from the shelters and everything, 30 of them have been coming into the warming centers, and we have a total of 82 on the streets from 263. So the number has drastically come down. Also, I'd like to let you guys know, the mayor in Haverhill has reached out to us, to me, myself, in an email asking how I can help them with their homelessness, because they're noticing what's going on in our city with the homelessness. And my only advice to everybody is just give them 5 minutes of your time. A lot of the homeless that we found on the streets had over $2,000 in a bank account, just didn't know how to get into a room or into an apartment. So that's the step that we were taking. These funds that we're getting, I noticed you did mention a lot of the people that we are helping, the folks and the residents of Lawrence. They're also fire victims. We had over 135 families last year with fires that were displaced. We placed them all into apartments, rooming houses back with families, or out of state or out of the city to get apartments, because obviously the rent control here is high and a lot of people can't afford those rents. So I believe in the money that we're asking for this is to help people in Lawrence. Another issue is if they come to us and they tell us, hey, I live in Methuen, can you help me? I'm sorry, we can't, but Methuen, Haverhill, Lowell, they all get the same amount of money that we get here. So who we're helping and who I help is residents of Lawrence. You have to have an ID stating a city address. And again, I thank you guys for everything you do, and I love working with you guys.
Yeah, but don't leave. Give me 1 second. So essentially, you started up way before you actually get the job to work directly with the homeless population in Lawrence. So walk me through things that you were able to do before, and how this job have helped you to probably improve those conditions what you were doing before compared to now.
So
Before you get the job and now they have the job, are you be able to help more people doing the work? And just walk me through, specific cases with
Okay.
no names and no specific
Correct, okay.
related anything to a person.
So we'll go back 2 years ago. I was an advocate, well, I've been an advocate for the homeless as well as domestic violence. My thing is I help everybody, veterans, homeless, anybody that's in need of help. We'll go back 2 years ago. We had a couple of folks that wanted to get help, but there was no resources to get the help. Everybody we reached out to, our shelters that we had in the city, other nonprofits in the city that, help homeless, everybody was closing doors and not helping anybody because everybody just thought homelessness was addiction addicts, stuff like that. So I came forward to present, not everybody that you see on the street is an addict. Not everybody you see on the street is an alcoholic. Some people just receive $600 to $800 a month Social Security. You can't find even a rooming house nowadays for that amount of money. So when I came aboard and took the position that I was offered for the homeless coordinator, doors opened. It was different because now you have a voice speaking for those ones that are asking for help but get turned around, or turned away because of the income levels that they have. Then we also found different programs that we had funds in, Mr. Wilder Pimentel found, by the way, that we had funds that we could help with first, last, and security to move them into rooming houses, apartments, and then they had a certain budget that they can go onto a program for a year. And in that year, this program would pay a certain percentage of their rent, they would pay the other percentage. And while we were doing that in the year that we put them into a rooming house, an apartment, or renting off somebody, you know, a landlord or a friend that they knew, we would case manage them to show them how to budget their funds, to save funds, so now when their year program ends, they can continue paying their own rent going forward. Another problem we had is they didn't know who to ask for help. They would come to City Hall, or they would go to other people on the streets of Lawrence and ask for help, and everybody would say, no, 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 no. So now, I built a good rapport with a lot of them over the years, working with them, when we gained trust. So now they do come to us, they do everything they're supposed to do. We opened warming centers, which was our first thing this year. We started with 85 the first night, and then last night it was down to about 40-something. And every night that I've opened a warming center for them, the next morning we've sent 5 to 8 folks to detoxes. So they're trying. It's baby steps. But I feel coming into this position and working with, you know, city officials and the administration and everybody working together, that's how our numbers are coming down. It's not me by myself, it's all of us working together.
I highly appreciate the fact that you guys are working together, because a person cannot do it by themselves. You have to be a team behind. And not only one person, is a team behind a group of people that is going to be able to help anybody, not only the homeless, but any type of project that we have in the city of Lawrence. I think that most of us are on the same page in terms of helping people, in terms of helping the homeless, in terms of helping, because homeless is not just homeless, like people knows.
There's
It's
different
anybody
stages.
that it's about to be evicted.
Correct.
It's most likely going to be homeless.
Well, look, you have a fire, now you're considered homeless. You know,
So-
you're living, another issue we have is people living with others in households and then them getting evicted. Now they've been renting this room off this person, and now they have nowhere to go because they've been paying $400 a month.
Yep.
You know, that's another issue. But again, it's constituents that live in Lawrence that we're trying to help, not saying others from other different cities and towns come and get the help, because that's not what we're
Great.
trying to do.
So let's wrap up the conversation. If anybody have any questions, I just want to say one last. Sure. Councilor Levy? Give me 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to thank you, Awilda, Marlene, and Kelly for the great work that they are doing also. Kelly, thank you for all the work that you've been doing with the people from fire, the homeless, the veterans. And I think that this grant is going to be very helpful for everyone in here. It's need more discussing, so we need to discuss it more, a little bit more, you know, at the level, because I know that the other city council have more questions on this regard. But hopefully we're going to be able to use the money in the way that we should use it. Thank you so much for the work that's important to support, and thank you for the report. It was a little late. We got the report a little late. We got it this afternoon after, you know, and that is something that we've been telling people. So we are not going to pass anything if we don't have it at least with 48 hours, or at least 24 or 48 hours before a meeting. But I know the importance of this. I took it a little time to read it a little bit more, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'll say something about the report and you know, having an item going as a committee report to the full council. This is the biggest difference. When you have an item that go to the full council with a favorable recommendation, you're gonna have 4 friends at the full council. 4 councilors most likely are gonna be your friends. They are defending what you guys present at the committee. When something happened that we send it over to the full council as a committee report, meaning this body was not able to get into a conclusion or make a determination, a recommendation to the full council. So that means that you're gonna have questioning from 9 different councilors at that level. So having that any type of information coming to the committee, it's essential that we have some time for us to read it, because it's down the road, a week later, you're gonna have a lot of friends at the full council that is gonna help that item specifically to go through. So there is a motion on the table to send it to the full council only as a committee report. and it's been properly second. So at this point, there is no more questions. I call the question. Councilor De Rosario. Councilor Infante.
Yes.
On the affirmative. So see you next week, and congratulations, we send it over.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor, at this point, I entertain a motion to take any item from the table matters or any other, I entertain a motion for any item on the table matters or any other motion.
Motion to to adjourn.
There is a motion to adjourn? Properly second. I'll call the question. Councilor Levy? Councilor Rosario? Councilor Infante?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you so much, Councilor, and let's watch the game.